What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Today, we're going to go into Baltimore. We're going to talk about Baltimore. We're going to talk about the California prison system, what it's like for an East Coast dude to be over there. But anyway, special guest on today, did a bunch of time in Maryland. Mike, tell the people who you are, tell them where you're from, and let's get into your story.
My name's Mike. I was born in Baltimore City. I was raised in Edgewood, Maryland, which is about 25 miles away from Baltimore. Ended up graduating high school in '96 from Joppatown, and then moved down to Baltimore City with my fiance at the time and with her aunt and uncle, and rented their basement. Got hooked on drugs, and that's what started my spiral downhill to get me in the systems.
And I know you end up going to prison in Maryland, right? How old were you?
Yeah. Oh man, 21, 20.
21 years old. What do you go to prison for?
I had possession, mainly my charges were theft and drug possession, but I had a hell of a lot of. If you look up my record, it's there's a lot of stuff on there. I should have got a lot more time. And then I just beat charges in 2019. Actually, yeah, January 31st of 2020. I was facing 105 years out here for allegedly distribution of LSD, pills, weed, stuff like that.
I want to get into that. You going to prison in Maryland at 21 years old. How much time were you sentenced to?
My first bit down the road in prison was nothing but a year and a day. They give you a year and a day out in Maryland. That means you're going to the state penitentiary other than the county jail. Going in there, honestly, I was locked up in the county. So I wasn't nervous or nothing, because Baltimore, there is no racial problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's normal for white boys to say the N-word, even in prison, in front of people. That's just how we get along. This is how it is. But yeah, I wasn't nervous at all. Did my time. I ended up getting stabbed. They sent me down to ECI prison.
Let me stop.
And,
you got a year. You got a year and a day, and you get stabbed.
yeah, yeah. I got stabbed over. I didn't know the politics yet. So, it was first they sent me to the compound, then they sent me to it's called the ECI Annex, and that's for minimum security. It's just a gate around the building. So, people are catching over the fence. So I would have my people come down and throw bags of tobacco, lighters, whatever, and put it in my big bin, those jackets they give you, and and put it in there, walk back into the building, and I started selling tobacco for cheaper than the gangs were doing. And they ended up, pressing up on me and was like, "We need this much. We need that." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm not doing that." I had a lot of friends in there that would back me up. So I'm not going to say which organization actually did that.
You
But
look like, well, let me say it. You look like a DMI type of dude, but we won't. We don't have to get into that. But that's what you look like to me.
right, okay, yeah, there are, yeah. That's who I kind of looked up to, and was around in Maryland prisons.
Let me
But
stop you for a minute, because I know you said you did a year and a day, but how much time did you do all together straight in Maryland? You ended up doing more time,
yeah,
right? In Maryland.
yeah. Like, this first sentence was a year and a day. Then I got 3 years. This was, I don't know, a few years later. I got 3 years, and then I went to court on 5 other charges that were pending. So I was already down the road doing 3 years. The state's attorney said, we'll give you 5 years all suspended, 9 months to run concurrent with your 3 years. I said, okay, cool. Well, when I got into the courtroom, the judge was like, no, I'm giving you 18 months consecutive for this charge, 18 months consecutive for that charge, 18 consecutive for that charge to run with your three.
And so
So,
we're
seven,
gonna get into that in a minute because I don't want the viewers to get mad. We're gonna talk about you getting stabbed. Who stabs you?
an organization stabbed me, and I'm not going to reveal which organization that did it,
I mean,
but check
listen, the viewers want to know.
BGF, man. It was BGF's Black Gorilla Family.
BGF dude stabbed you. How many times they hit you?
He got me through my forearm. I was on the weight pit out in a little canopy thing where they had the weights. I was doing dumbbells, and I was laying flat. So I seen him coming, and he got me through my forearm. He stabbed me, got me right here, and I was leaking. I ran to the building. I cut my sweatsuit off and flushed it down the toilet. And yeah, that's how that happened. Because they were mad because they were selling cans of tobacco for 100. I was selling them for 50. But I didn't know the politics. I'm 21 years old, new to the first prison I've ever been to, other than county jails.
So after that happens, I mean, that happens at a minimum security.
Yeah, yeah, had an ice pick, man, about that long. It went through almost completely through my forearm, man.
What was it like, man, being a young dude, man, getting stabbed by the BGF? Are you thinking in your head like, oh shit?
Yeah, yeah. Everything slowed down, man. It was like the Matrix. I'm like, man, what the hell? Like, I ran back, and it's funny because the Bloods and the Muslims came together and backed me up because I was looking out for them. So there was getting ready to be this big thing, but it ended up being squashed. I
Hold on,
ended
let me
up
stop you for a minute though, because I know you said that the DMI guys were holding you down, but was it the
no. This is before DMI. This is before DMI.
what? You're a white kid, man. You come into prison, man. You don't know the politics. You start, you got, sometimes people got people on the street. A lot of times in prison, people don't have people on the street that can come down there and throw things over the fence. But you're one of them white dudes that got people like that. Dudes that been in prison are watching the show. They know white dudes like you. White dudes like you always show up, right? You got them people that'll do certain things. So now, the BGF's like, man, we're getting money over here and you're in the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to stab you. And eventually it ends up getting politicked out. But that's because the Bloods and the Muslims, they're eating off you, right? So they're holding you down, right?
Yeah, but yeah, they weren't pressing up on me. If they were in this minimum security was cubicles. There was like 5 people to a cubicle, and you might have different organizations sleeping here. It just so happens to be I slept right next to a Blood and the Muslims. We got close, and they were like, "Nah, I gave it to them. They never pressed me or nothing."
I'm not saying that they pressed you, but
Yeah, yeah,
I want people to understand prison politics, right? It's not that they're pressing you. You want to look out, whatever, and they're like, "Yo, this is our dude. We're eating, so we want to make sure you're all right. Whether it's your friend, whether someone's pressing you, that's how prison works, and I want people to know that. And I'm not saying
right,
that they were pressing you, but
right.
what I'm
Okay.
saying is that you're in a minimum security prison and you get stabbed, and these dudes are like, "Yo, we're eating, so we're about to hold this white dude down." And when people do that stuff, they do build relationships, right? I'm from New York, bro. So, blacks, whites, Hispanics, people get along, man. It's different than being on the West Coast. And we're going to get there in your story too. But I just want people that are watching to be able to understand what's going on. So you get stabbed and they squash it, man. How do you get stabbed and squash something? Tell the people.
Well, it was kind of be honest with you, it was a week before I was released. So I had a 30-day consecutive sentence. So, but when they came together, there was only so many of them dudes with the Bloods and the Muslims. They were a huge population in there. back then I didn't even hear the word DMI. So you just can't do that as a civilian and try to make money. So luckily, I was released to go to another jail to do my 30 days consecutive in the county jail for Hartford County.
So now you go do your 30 days, you get out of jail, but you catch a new case and you're back in the Maryland prison system.
Yeah. Yep.
That's when you get the 3 years, and then you got other charges. They stack them up. So how much time do you do total in Maryland?
Uh, Total 13 years total. The longest stretch I've served was 7 years.
You're
That's the
doing
longest.
you're doing 7 years now. You end up in Maryland. Were you ever with my boy Scotty B?
Yes, I was. He was on your show. I didn't know. I wasn't locked up with him, but I knew because I know, I knew who he was, but I never met him personally. No.
So now you're doing a little bit of time. You get to that Maryland system. What's it like for you, man?
Um, it it. I mean, a lot of stuff happens, but like if you know, are a cool person, like you know what I mean, you get along with people like I am. Of course, I've seen stabbings. I've seen dudes get hit over the head with a fan motor and a net bag and just completely crack their head open like some Viking barbaric stuff, man.
What's one of the worst things you ever seen in that prison system over there?
Um, I probably baby oil on somebody's face with crushed fluorescent tube glass, crushed into a powder, into the baby oil, and that's a nasty scene. I've seen many people get stabbed, a lot of people leaking out, people getting lifted out. That was a regular thing, getting airlifted back then.
The people, how they heat up that baby oil over there.
You got microwaves in the and you can get hot pots. This guy had a hot pot. You can take the thermostat out of it, and it'll get hotter than it's supposed to, and it will boil and boil and boil.
So they're
When
boiling
he
baby oil. They put the glass, so people know they put the glass from the light bulbs. They put it
Right,
in there and boom, hit you in the face with it, right?
yeah, not me. He got the guy, man, and dude, it, it, it was nasty, man. You could smell it. It was just nasty. I can't even explain that.
The violence that you've seen, do you think that it affected you?
Yeah, I have PTSD from things that happened and that I've seen. So absolutely, Baltimore and Maryland prisons are a force to be reckoned with.
When you were in there, who ran that system, man?
Um, Pretty much. Well, Muslims always have the number.
Who was who ran that prison system over there?
Well, the people that had the biggest numbers was the Muslims, but they're not looked at as a gang. They're a religion, but they ain't gonna let people do whatever. They will go down, and I've seen it many times. But the difference is it's a religion. So if you have a ton of Muslims, um, not all of them have to ride, and from far as I know, you don't get consequences for that because you ain't supposed to be doing that. But for the most part, BGF runs a lot of the Maryland prisons, and it depends what prison you're at. You might go to a prison and there's more DMI than BGF, and there's always a lot of Muslims no matter where you go in prison in Maryland. So BGF, then they had the NBA, which is no bloods allowed for a while. Like DMI were with the BGF together, they were getting chopped up, flown out. But I've seen a lot of thorough bloods too, man. I've seen it all.
Let me ask you this: you being in that system, do you ever have to put in any work yourself? You ever have to do anything violent?
I have stabbed child molester. Yes, I have. I did that out of what just for me. You know, I did that for me because I would want somebody to do that. If something like that happened to my daughter, I would hope that that would happen. And I read the paperwork. I made sure it was legit. So yeah, he didn't die or nothing. I just made a mess, a lot of blood.
So you eventually get out of that Maryland prison system. You go home. What are you doing when you get out?
Um, Back then, I get out and I start using. Start using. I got out in '03. Um, the first night I came home, I ended up getting. I slept with one of my childhood friends. She gets pregnant. First night I'm out. Then I started using. Caught like 5 open charges: thefts, possession, and then my buddy lived in Cali, and he was like, "Man, come out here. They won't extradite you." So I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I did." I went out there in 2004. I took over the spot where he was living at. He moved to Colorado, and then I flew my wife, my daughter, and her son out there with me.
Out there in Cali, what are you doing out there in Cali? Are you working? Are you changing your life? Are you hustling? What's going on?
Um, I mean, there was a time I was working, but mostly hustling. Yeah, black tar, heroin. You know.
You end up catching some time down there in California, right?
Yeah.
What was that for?
Uh, that was California. Don't play with narcotics. If you got heroin or methamphetamine, they don't have an opiate epidemic like out here. They have a crystal meth epidemic. Everybody uses it. But I was I'm damn Chad. Would you ask? I'm sorry, bro.
No, you ain't
What,
high right now, right?
no, hell no, man. No, I wouldn't do that.
So you're in California. You catch a charge in California. What do you go to
Yeah.
jail for?
Oh, that okay. Yeah. All right. I got possession with 16th of powder cocaine. Got put on probation. I kept violating that probation, so they gave me 2 years and sent me to Wasco State Prison.
Time you get in California.
2 years.
What's it like for an East Coast white dude? And I see you kind of, you got the little city swag. What's it like?
Right.
What's it like for a white dude like you to go to a California state prison?
Um, when I get off the bus from county jail, um, or that they take you from the county jail to the prison. I get off the bus and the captain was like, who are you? Who do you run with? Because I look Mexican a little bit. I'm Italian, and I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't understand what he was saying. He was like, who are you? What do you run with? I'm like, well, I'm white. I don't roll with any. He was like, oh, okay, so you're a wood. So I get to the building. They have the each organization there has a rep. They come out for all the new people coming into prison, talk to them for a few minutes, and then take you in. So I ran with the woods out there because if you don't run with the woods, I'm just a white boy. That's what woods means out there. If you don't run with them, you have to go to protective custody, a SMY yard, and I refuse to do that because that will follow you forever. That's just not my DNA to do anything like that.
Are the white dudes accepting of you being from the East Coast?
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. But I had to learn and adapt quick, and I'm good at that. But it's like night and day from Maryland to Cal. You know, yeah, no talking to blacks. can't mess with the Northerners, the North Daniels, or the Bulldogs, and we can eat after and smoke and chill with the Southerners, Southsiders, the Serranials. So, but yeah, they were very accepting, man. I met some good dudes in there. Matter of fact, the guy who kind of had the building for the woods, like I slept right next to him. We became like best friends, man, in there. So I met a lot of good people, but man, oh boy, out there is it's always something going on. Every day the sirens going off. It could be another building, you know what I mean? That has nothing. If you hear that siren, you got to hit the floor, no matter if you're eating chow or what. You got to get on that floor and lay down. So yeah, I've seen and been in some riots that were pretty. If you've seen the movie Shot Caller, right?
Yeah, of
You
course.
see? Okay, well, that movie is pretty much dead on. Other than when dude had to walk out for the first time and he bumps into the guy, that will never happen because you're automatically get hooked up right from the beginning with what you're going to do, who you're going to ride with.
So the
So that
shot
was
caller, let me ask you this. So the shot caller tells you right away, look, can't do no business with blacks, can't eat with them, can't drink with them, none of that. I mean, that's some of the first rules they give you? Is that the first rules they?
yes. I had a I just ended it. So yeah, you can't eat after them or the I haven't been locked up with North Daniels where I was. They didn't have them. That's Northern California. You don't see too many of them. I was in San Luis Obispo. That's where I live. That's kind of dead in the middle, right on the beach where I was living at in
What's,
Cali.
what's it like to have another man telling you what to do, what you can do, and what you can't do? How's that feel?
Um, uh, I mean, basically, they didn't tell me to do anything. They just, if something goes down, you all have to ride. And if you don't ride, there's consequences with that. Or if you make a mistake, and I'm always thinking 1,000 steps ahead. So I never made those mistakes. But there has been situations where something happened with another race and us, and you just got to get down. That's all there is to it. Or they're going to come at you with a knife.
Did you have to keep a knife on you?
No, 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 no. Didn't have to. No, I mean we had one. We had a half a pair of scissors, them large scissors. Somebody stole it from the nurse's office and broke it in half. Gave one piece to the other woods on the other side of the building, and we had one for us. But no, we never had to get that out. A
Let me
lot of
ask you
races.
this. I mean, you didn't have one knife for all the white dudes, did you? Just one knife? Other dudes had knives, right?
Yeah, there was a lot. Yeah, there was like I'm just saying specifically when we were involved with something, it wasn't like one for instance, okay. There was some skins that were there that run with the woods. Now see when you get a couple skinheads out there together, they I've seen your videos, man, of how they talk the talk and all this barking, but when it comes down to it, they don't want to get down. So what happened was is a few of them were together, uh, and the dude that ran the building, they came and jumped him while he's on his bed, laying back reading a book. That's a number one no with any, as far as the woods and AB. None of that goes down. You don't do it like that. That's your own race. You know what I mean? You got a problem, we'll go into the bathroom. And if you got to discipline somebody, the cops were cool with that. They didn't want to go through riots and go through all that. You know what I mean? So they were like, okay, go in there and 2-on-1, do what you got to do. But these skinheads, yeah, man, they bum rushed him while he was on his back, laying on his bunk. So that was one scenario, and
What happens? What happens after they do that? I mean, do the white dudes retaliate against the skins?
oh Absolutely. Dude, it was 40 woods and about 6 skinheads.
Other people,
So okay, my buddy Lance, he was the one that was running the building. Okay, uh, the skinhead dude had a bowl that you had bowls you get off commissary, and it was left out near the bathroom, and um, one of the little white boys, he was a wood too, threw the bowl away, and then told the skinhead that it was the dude that was running the building. That's how that went down. So just over a bolt. That was it.
I want to
And
know what the Woods do after they jump
oh,
Lance.
we it was it. I mean, you got 40 dudes on 6. It was straight ass kicking. Numbers is a big thing. Even if they had blades and we didn't, we're still going to eventually neutralize the situation.
So
But
they running
they
and
got
trying to get away. What's going on?
oh yeah, man, like uh hitting with trash cans. Dude tried to throw dude over the chair. And see out there, I didn't see this in Maryland. They have these backpacks with big tanks that look like fire extinguishers. And then they got like a hose and it's like this. And it shoots a beam of pepper spray, a half inch in diameter, up to like I don't know, 30 feet, 40 feet, and they just come and sauce you off like it's a water hose. I've never seen nothing like that. And you're red because it's pepper spray. It turns red. You know that.
You get out when you get out of that California prison system. What's it like that first day? Are you like, man, I'm glad I'm out of here?
Oh yeah, I wasn't even expecting it. I thought I was going to do 3 months more because Wasco State Prison is a reception prison and they have a main line. So I they gave me my county time credit. So I was only there in that prison for 7 months. My counselor never came to see me. Finally, he came to see me, and he was like, "You were scheduled to go to Chino, but with your county time and all that, halftime, blah blah blah. Um, here's your release date," and it was 13. I get out. Um, they take you to the bus station. You get a bus ticket, and they put me on the wrong bus, so I had like a 4 hour layover. So I went to the bar, had some drinks, and got back on the bus. And when it was time, went to got a hotel because they give you $200 gate money, cash, when you get released, no matter what. When you leave Cali State Prison, it's $200, even if you have $0 in your account. So I get back to San Luis Obispo. I rent a motel, and my buddy came to see me, and ended up dying. So I wasn't even out 15 hours, and I was back in custody because they had to make sure there was no foul play involved. So I'm sitting in the cop car like, I, I just blown away that this happened, and here I am back in handcuffs when I just got my freedom.
How did he die? Did he overdose?
Well, they say the autopsy report said that he had alcohol poisoning. But he was drunk when I first called him earlier in the day. He said, "I'm too drunk to drive." Hours later, he called, said, "I'm good to go. I'm going to come." He shows up with his 12 pack, and we each drank 3 beers. He grabbed my pill bottle that they give you a 30-day supply, and they were 400 milligrams Seroquel. And he grabbed my bottle and just poured 4 out and popped them and swallowed it. So next thing you know, 20 minutes later, he's splashing water in his face. And I'm like, dude, man, just crash out in the other bed because I got two beds in the hotel. And he was snoring, fell asleep. I was on the phone with my wife, and I didn't hear him snoring anymore after like 30 minutes. It was he was snoring hard. He died. He died.
So
Yeah.
now let's talk about now, though. What are you doing with your life now?
Now, I just got off of probation January 31st of this year. So I'm finally off of paper. So right now I'm pending disability. I got bit by a rattlesnake in California. I don't know if you can see my leg, but they had to cut out my muscle, so I don't have no movement of my left foot.
You boy, you had a lot of things going on in your life. Where are you at now? You in back in Maryland area? Or are you still in?
Yeah, no, I'm in Maryland. I came back to I came back to Maryland in 2009, and I knew I had the pending charges, so I came on a Friday, spent the weekend, and then that Monday I went and turned myself in. And
How much time did you end up doing then?
um ended up being nothing. They gave me 9 months county time. So I got real lucky. Um but I ended up going I had to go back to prison for another year and a day sentence. And they sent me down to JCI, which is a each cell in JCI, man, I kid you not, there's gouges in every cell on the floor, like this deep, from sharpening, you know what I'm saying, sharpening your steel. And here I am with a year and a day again, and they put me in a cell with a lifer. You know what I mean? Ended up being an awesome dude. Be honest with you, that's a second lifer that was my cell buddies, and if I had I'd rather live with them because they're convicts. They know they ain't going to rat. Well, most of them. It's all about respect. A man respects another man.
Well, listen, Mike, man, like I said, you've been through a lot of stuff in your life. I appreciate you. You came on the show sharing your stories and your experiences, man. But I want to know what you're doing with your life now, man. You got your life together or what?
Yeah, I got my life together. I stay out of trouble. I dropped a lot of my friends that because a lot. I just know that I can't be let somebody else have something on them in the car and not take their charge. So I'm staying straight. Like I said, I'm pending disability. I do some side work here and there, painting. Um, but I just want to say something real quick. When I was in county jail at San Luis Obispo in California, in there I was on lockup, and it's single cells. Well, the dude next to me was from Georgia, from the East Coast, so we talked a lot, and got cool talking through the vent. 2 weeks later, he gets bailed out. I said Mobius, that was his nickname. Mobius, here's my wife's number. Tell her I'll be off lockup on Thursday to come and visit me. And I told him, I said, look, I'm in here. I'm the one that makes all the money. So if you know anybody that, does this, my wife's got him. So as soon as he gets out front and gets on the payphone, he calls my wife and says, "Yeah, I was just locked up with your husband, Mike, and he wanted me to tell you to come pick me up, and he wanted me to look after you till he gets out." Which was 2 weeks later. He ended up beating her, taking all her pills, her money, her phone, everything. Basically, kept her hostage. in the hotel. She could not leave. She could not make no phone calls. So luckily, he was doing crystal meth, and he was up for days. He crashed out, and she was able to sneak a phone call to my mother and told her what hotel, the name, the room number, all that. So after I made a call home to my mother, she told me the ordeal. So I called one of my friends in my neighborhood that I was living in before I went to the hotel in Oceano, California, and they were surrounded. He was a surrounded. Told him what was going on, and he was like, "Man, just I'm on it right now." And they were able to go over there, get in there, get her out safely, and beat the dude up pretty bad. And but he raped my wife. Or mm,
You're all right. Don't worry about it. Look, man. I mean, I'll block that word out. But man,
okay.
it's a crazy
He,
story. And people don't realize, man, sometimes you meet people in jail and you think you're cool with them and they go home and do some vicious stuff. But before we get ready to go, I'm going to close the show, but is there anything you want to say?
yeah, man. Like for the youth, it ain't worth it ain't worth getting involved in gangs, and it ain't cool. You get in there, anything could happen. Your life is gone. You could be locked up. Your mother dies, your father dies, your sister, your brother, whoever, and you can't go to their funeral. So I mean, this life ain't worth. It's not worth. It's not worth it, because you might take your life because of your people's dying, and you can't be there, and you're upset. Now you're going because you hang yourself. It's not
End
good,
of the
man.
day, I mean that's the message, right? It ain't worth it, man. I mean, people say that all the time, but look what happened with Mike and what happened with a dude that he thought he was cool with and sent dude, yo man, just call my wife and tell her, I'll be off lockup soon. And this dude calls and makes up a story, and the next thing you know, man, your wife's jammed up. I mean, you've been through a lot of shit. 21 years old, stabbed in prison. This is the reality of prison. I did a live last night and talked about the kid from YSL, man, just being tied up in Georgia and pretty much, man, tortured. And there's no one there to help you. But anyway, Mike, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to tell people if they enjoy it, man, hit that like button, subscribe, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, with respect, we're out.